So the whole point of doing this is that we really want to help you guys learn how to market your business in these changing times, because they are really different. And so it's all about reinventing yourself. I mean, some people don't need to reinvent themselves at all, but something that I've noticed, I've been doing this marketing gig for 25 years now, is that when a catastrophe like this comes along, and let's face it, shutting down half a country in most of the services is a catastrophe. There's a lot of businesses that need to reinvent, and a lot of people in the industry that will need to reinvent to remain relevant, which is so important. So it's not like completely changing the way you do everything, but it definitely is pivoting from the way that you've probably always done things. But we'll get more into that. And so that's why I named this course Reinvent, Connect and Amplify, because it's really important that you understand that you may need to reinvent and do things differently to how you've always done it, and not to see things, I use the word catastrophe, which is very dramatic, but not to see things as being catastrophic, but more as an opportunity to do things really better and to improve yourself in the business, in your business and in this industry, and to maybe even make your industry more relevant to people. And we'll talk a lot about that as we go through. The need for connection is also really huge. Connection is what marketing is all about, and I think a lot of people miss that. There's a lot of people think of marketing as just straight out sales, whereas marketing is really an opportunity to delve into your audience on a human to human level and really connect with them, and understand who they are, what their pain is, and understand how you can help them. And amplifying is just all about how you get the message out there. So, it's one thing to have a Facebook account or an Instagram account and to put up pictures and stuff on your Insta, but there's a whole other way of amplifying and getting out to a lot more people that are your target audience. So they're the three things I'm going to cover off on tonight. I'll give you a full hour of solid content. Right at the end, I will mention to you just a special offer I have for you guys, how you can get in touch with me and we can talk more one-to-one about your business if you like. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's no big deal. It's just for people that might, if this resonates with you and you think, you know what, I want to know more about this for my business. So that comes right at the end. And without further ado, I'll just get stuck straight into it, because I'm really all about value and I want this to be as relevant to you as possible. So I'd love to get you guys involved and as interactive as possible. And just by, if you want to type into the group chat, first of all, let me know if you can hear me. Actually, it's the first question I should have asked you to start with. Are you guys hearing me okay? Because I could be just sitting here rabbiting on to myself right now. So just if anyone could just type in yes, can hear you into that group chat area. Oh, thank you very much, guys. Perfect. Okay, cool. And everyone looks like, I'm just checking now, looks like nearly everybody's muted. If you can just mute yourself, that'll be really great. I think I've just muted you all. Should be good. Yeah, just so there's no weird background noises. Okay, cool. So the reason why we're here, now these are the reasons that most people come to my webinars at this moment. I've done quite a few webinars right now because it's really relevant for right now. But the most reason why people are here is that your existing marketing plan probably isn't fitting in right now to what's going on in the Australian environment, and even just on a global scale if you have global customers. So you're finding like, what the hell, how am I going to market now? And you might be seeing in other industries that people are really vulnerable. You watch people be completely shut down and can't even do business. So you're probably wondering, if this were to happen again. And we actually did a poll with a whole lot of people on our social media pages just to find out if they actually think that a pandemic would be possible to happen again. And a lot of people, it was like 70% of the people said, yeah, they really feel like we'll have another shutdown again in our lifetimes. And I tend to believe that too. So, are you considering about maybe how do you future-proof for the future with your business if you actually can't do business, if you're not allowed to do it, like other industries have been affected? And the third reason why you might be here is because you recognize that your clients' pain has changed. They're not the same as what they used to be. The things that used to concern them aren't concerning them anymore. So your entire marketing message could be completely different now, or it might be just falling on deaf ears, because it's not as bad now. We've been 2 months into this whole sort of situation, so people aren't quite as distressed as they used to be, but they're still thinking and focusing a lot differently now than what they used to. They might not be spending money so readily. They might be, with this thing that the survey that we actually did to a whole lot of our audience, a lot of people said they were going to change their spending habits. They were going to be budgeting a lot more, not using credit, not borrowing money, and they would be saving money as well. you know, that a lot of people got caught out with this whole pandemic, that they hadn't really thought about being in the cash kind of, where they needed to have a lot of cash put away. So this could greatly affect your business moving into the future and the buying cycle of how people buy. People could also be now buying so much online that, you know, this is a whole new thing. It's like, wow, I used to market. This has happened with a lot of my clients. They market at expos. And so now they're thinking, well, how relevant is my business? You know, I can't even get face to face in front of people. And I've got clients that are missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of sales, you know, because they sell their products at expos and, you know, big conventions. So this could be you guys too, if that's how you get a lot of your new business. So your audience is a lot more online now, and they've been trained in this period to be online. So, you know, things have changed, and it's really unreal to see so many of you here tonight getting educated on how to do your marketing better in an online world where you need to be developing connection and trust to remain relevant. So if there's any other reasons that you're here tonight, it'd be awesome if you put that into the chat box, because then, like I said, I like a lot of this is obviously like, you know, I've got a slideshow, but I can really customize information as we go along. If you've got specific questions, I'm happy as Larry to answer those questions. So if there's another reason why you're here tonight, please feel free to share that, and I'll happily answer your questions as we go. So what I really want to say is, it's not all doom and gloom. I like to think of it more of it's pivot and innovate. And a lot of people are probably tired of hearing that word pivot, but it's the best word for what it is, because you don't have to completely change the way you do things, but you do need to really think about the way you do things now and look at if it's the right way, because the way we've always done it isn't necessarily the way you want to keep doing it moving forward. And I would suggest that the businesses that don't even consider pivoting or consider bringing in an online aspect to their marketing are really going to become quite dinosaurs into the future. And, you know, I remember a time before, you know, I've been marketing that long before there even was the internet. I think the internet has made us, it's a very convenient way of marketing, but a lot of people have let it intimidate them, and they sort of like to still do things the way they've always done it. So very important that we look at all the opportunities that are in front of us. And I just ask, and if I have your permission, please, that just for tonight, that you stay really open and you don't get closed off in your thinking and think, well, you know, big deal. I've heard all this before, seen all this before. I've always done it this way. I'm not going to change. It's really important that you just really listen, absorb the information, listen to some of the examples that I give you. And then if you think this is really relevant to you, look at how you can apply it to your business and your audience and your market and your message. So it'd be really cool if you guys could do that. And don't forget, if you do have some questions or, you know, what you're here for that I haven't already mentioned earlier, make sure you do put it in the chat box. Don't be shy, because we're all here just to learn. You know, we're here for 1 hour and we might as well make it a really good hour. So, and I want to also mention this, industries that haven't innovated in decades, they're going to be completely reinvented. And that goes for every industry. So nobody should feel that just because you're in a physical industry and you deliver the service and it's not an online service so much, that don't think that it's not going to change, because people's expectations, their requirements, the way they spend money, what they value, all of that's changed. So you may very well need to really think twice about the way that you deliver your services and your message. So we'll keep talking about that as we move through the webinar. So just a little bit about me, because it's an opportunity for me to sort of tell you who I am, and you wonder, you know, why am I even doing this? It's very important that when you're marketing, and I use it myself as an example, that you share with people who you are and what you do and what motivates you and what inspires you, and that often is around your values and what you value, and you know, attracting people to you that have the same kind of values as yourself. So for me, I'm all about inspiration and creativity, very much about passion, connection, and very much about sharing my knowledge that I have with people and helping. So I found this whole COVID period of time a really challenging time for everybody, and my phone went really quiet for quite some period there, but so it was an opportunity for me to be useful and to share and to connect with my audience and to give my audience what I could, which was the knowledge around how to marketing, because I know that's exactly what they need right now. So these you know, trust and respect and loyalty, these are all the things that are really important to me and to my agency. I've got 2 agencies, Divine Creative Agency and Heretic Creative Agency, and we've been around for 20 plus years and have a vast array of clients, some in the landscaping game, construction, services, hospitality, all kinds of different industries. So one of my biggest clients is in the leisure industry, caravan and camping, and I'll share some of their stories later. So it's I've got a vast array of knowledge across a vast array of industries. And it's always really good to look at what other people are doing in other industries to sort of get ideas and to see if you can be adopting some of their things that they do. And my why is my family, which is probably what most small businesses have. And a lot of people are really shy to share their family stories. But these are my 3 sons, and they've been with me from the beginning, you know, and they've come through my whole marketing journey and been part of my whole marketing experience with my audience, because they're such an important part of my life and what I do. And my son in the middle there, he's actually a landscape gardener. So, you know, we're quite passionate about the, you know, landscape gardening and what it does for people's home and for, you know, social spaces, and as a form of connection, just in connecting people with the environment. So, you know, it's very, very relevant that I'm speaking to you guys tonight. So anyway, let's get into what about you guys. So I'm going to be referring to you as business leaders, not just business owners, because I think that's what this time is really calling for. And again, just congratulating you on even coming onto this webinar, because it shows that you're being quite forward thinking and you're not just waiting for things to happen to you in your business. You're actually looking to make things happen for you. And this is an opportunity, believe it or not. And I am heartened to see a lot of people talking about that. Not so much focusing on the challenges anymore. Like the first 2 or 3 weeks of the COVID period was very incredibly distressing for a lot of people. And I dare say would have been in your industry as well, because jobs were probably getting cancelled or put on hold. People's budgets were getting frozen, or people were just completely going quiet on you. All their needs had changed. So, you know, really calls for a period of time to be a real business leader, and where you need to keep your vision intact. You need to remember what your business is all about. You need to keep promoting that. You needed to keep your key personnel in place. And you also needed to understand that your audience really is a very different audience to who they used to be. And this is a time where people will be really emotionally charged and quite making spontaneous decisions, you know, whether to stop working or to start working, you know, or getting you in to do work with them, or buying your products or using your supplies. It really is a very emotional time for your audience, and therefore they need to be treated differently. And so that's why I'm going to be talking a lot about connection throughout this webinar, because it's a time where you can actually grow your audience by giving them information that they want. And it's no surprise a lot of people, you know, have been commenting about the lineups at Bunnings that have been going on for the past 2 months, because people are really, they're but they have been essentially trapped in their homes, and they're really wanting to create beautiful spaces around them and make use of this time. And in your field of in landscaping, in whatever area that you are, whether you're a supplier or you're actually a provider of that service, you can be relating to them and providing them sort of sideways things that you'd never probably thought of, you know, advice. This is definitely a time where your marketing should have enhanced, not gone quiet. Even if you had gone a little bit quieter and had a little bit more time to do marketing, this is where really engaging with your audience and sharing with them, you know, things that inspire them and motivate them and help them connect to you emotionally as to what you can do for them. It's been a really fantastic opportunity, and I hope that a lot of you have been using that. And even if you haven't been taking advantage of that, it's not too late. I actually did a bit of research on you guys just before coming in to this webinar, and I noticed that a lot of people are still using, and I don't know if that's just because you've got that for your for this kind of thing, that's your email address, but a lot of people, your email addresses don't even reflect what your domain name is, your website is. So that's kind of like the first big mistake with marketing, is that when people can't even see from your email what your website is. So the people that do actually have, you know, like hello at or info at or your name at for your website, I could go and check out what your websites were like. And some of them were really quite lovely. All of them were all about the services that you provide, and none of them were about yourself or your people. Oh, let me just let some more people in, some latecomers into the call. Hello to the people that I've just let in. Sorry if you've been waiting there for a minute. Welcome in. We're just running through the webinar now. So basically what I want to bring up, this is probably one of the biggest points that a lot of people miss with marketing. This is something that I really hope it's driven home to you tonight, is that people trust people. It's not so much the brand that they fall in love with. They fall in love with the person behind the brand. So while people think that they're in love with your company, it's not the company they're in love with. It's the people providing the service, the people selling the products, the people that they have the emotional connection with when you're in a small business. You know, this might be different for really large organizations And unless, and if this is irrelevant to somebody's from a large organization, let me know, but it didn't look like there was going to be. I get the gist that most people here on this call are small businesses. And so the advantage that we have when we are small business is that we can relate as people and as humans and do our marketing in such a way that people can respond to us better. And I've done a lot of this with my clients over the time. And it's the business owners that put themselves out at the front of their brand, that are the people that have the most success with their marketing and the most traction, and also can grow their businesses as quickly as possible, if that's what they want to do. And it would be a great time now in the chat box if you wanted to share with me, like, what are your marketing goals right now? That'd be really cool. So I'll make sure I sort of like give you the right kind of information as we're going along. So please feel free to use that chat box because it really helps me to give you that kind of information that you need. So if you stay quiet, I'll just keep rambling on, but I might not be as relevant as, I'd just love to make this as relevant as possible to you guys. So I really want to get across to you that it's so important that we don't hide behind our brand and our work that we do. So I saw a lot of websites of yours that were beautiful, like landscape gardening things, or the products that you sell, but not a whole lot about the people and the stories behind your organization. And this is what people actually fall in love with. And that's what I'll be talking about in the second part of this webinar, with the connection. So like I said to you, stay really open and just really listen to what I've got to say and just sort of see how this can apply to you and your business. And I'll tell you a story now to make this relevant to you, of a client that we have who's in the hospitality industry. So that's Steve in the middle, who's hugging onto the video camera. So when he came to us 18 months ago, he had one family restaurant in a club, in an RSL club, a sports club. And he was really successful. He'd been winning lots of different awards. He had won 2 years, I think, in a row, best family restaurant. So he's no slouch in the industry. And he was a really dynamic personality, but his branding and his marketing absolutely sucked, like, in his own words. They were just really poor. Nothing personal about him. Even though he has a really good reputation in the industry and people had heard of him, none of his marketing was around him. He was like a really well-kept secret. And he was getting really frustrated because he kept seeing all of these celebrity chefs online and on different TV shows, and they had their own restaurants and they were getting all the accolades. And he said, but none of them were actually backing themselves. They weren't even funding their own restaurants like he was. And, they weren't, authentic in his eyes. And he thought, well, he'd seen me talk and he thought, you know what, I'm going to actually brand my business around me. And, what I talked about with the connection marketing, which I'll go into later. And he said, I'm going to see what happens. So anyway, something incredible did happen. Once he sort of came to us, we branded him. He did a video with us, took the professional photos, gave him a nice website, sent him on his merry way, gave him some insight into how to do his social media marketing. He turned into a maniac overnight, and basically just the whole connection thing, it just really resonated with him. And he just started telling stories and showing behind the scenes and sharing his expertise with his audience. It was really relevant. So when I say his audience, like, he was trying to get some consulting work as well on the side. And a lot of other restaurants and restaurant owners and cafe owners were jumping all over and seeing what he was doing in his marketing. And what actually happened was that he got a major club organization that have 5 different clubs in their organization had been introduced to Steve months before this, and they'd actually knocked him back on a tender they'd put in for and gone with a bigger organization that had a higher profile. And that wasn't so successful. They weren't doing very well. And so 6 months after we'd sort of done all this, put this brand together for Steve, actually it was only 3 months after we put this all together for him, they'd seen all of his social media, and they'd really sort of got invested into his story and his brand and to hear what he was doing. And they got him in, and they took the restaurant off the people that they'd awarded it to, got rid of them and put him in. And then he grew overnight into 3 different clubs with all the different restaurant spaces. And then within the course of the next year has grown now to being in 5 different clubs, 19 dining concepts, 22 event spaces, and 250 staff. And he credits that all to having repositioned the way he marketed his company, which is called Catering HQ. He repositioned that, and I actually think I have a slide of that. This is, this is the Catering HQ. So you can see this is their logo there. I don't know if you can see my mouse on the screen. I hope you can. So he was still branding very much around what they do, but he then came up with his own brand around himself, as Steve said, and he called himself a hospitality entrepreneur, and which is not even a real thing, you know, but he created that image for himself and branded himself as that. So he actually now has nobody in his space. He has created a space that is uniquely his and created a conversation that is uniquely his. And the even now with the downturn, you know, which is really horrific for him, that all of his spaces had to close, and so they've pivoted to doing takeaway, and he had to let go of a whole lot of staff while they're waiting to be able to be reinstated again. He hasn't actually personally skipped a beat, because he's now gone from running his very successful restaurants, and now he's consulting in the consulting space. And he was able to do this because we built him his own personal brand alongside his company brand at the same time. So I'm not saying you all have to run out and get your own personal name websites, but I'm just sharing this story with you because it's one of the best examples I've got in such a short period of time, when a business owner had the balls to start marketing their business more around themselves personally as the business owner, heading up. And like you can see, let me just do this here. You can see like he's heading up the guys here, his chefs, and like he's got his management team. He still markets around his team. He's not like just a solo operator at all by any stretch of the imagination. There's 250 people to his team, but he's marketing himself as the brains trust behind it. And that's when people pay attention and sit up and pay and see you and hear you. And it's what differentiates you from everybody else. And so I can imagine some people are probably shuddering at the thought of marketing your business just around what you do, around yourself, rather than around your services, around your products. But this is the difference, guys, between being kind of just competing with everybody else, like apples to apples, or being completely a bright, shiny, completely different pear. I don't know, whatever piece of fruit resonates with you, a mango, you know, and a whole bunch of other apples. It's a pretty poor analogy, but you get what I mean. So I can just see some of you guys are actually putting up some comments. So I will quickly have a quick look at what you've been asking. I don't have a business yet, just doing some very well aimed learning that is useful for my current job and responsibilities, not in landscaping or gardening. Okay, well, that's cool. Happy to have you here, Sharon. Are you finding people are staying on a website long enough to read everything about a company, or are they heading straight to the gallery to view previous works? Well, that's really cool. If you had Google Analytics, you could probably answer that question yourself. But I can guarantee you that one of the most visited pages on your website, and you think about your own habits, is the About Us page, because people want to know who you are, what you stand for, what you do, what your purpose is, why you're in business, and what makes you different. So they don't get any of that from your gallery page. So what happens is, I'm imagining Michael, you're probably a landscape gardener, I'm just assuming, and I'm a designer. So I would naturally think, oh, everyone's going to come to my portfolio page, just like you would think everyone's going to come to your gallery page. But they want to know who you are. They want to know if they can trust you, and they want to know if they are even going to like you. So they're going to be all over your website, checking out things that you never thought were actually that important. And this is exactly what Steve found even with him. You know, he could have talked about his restaurants and the food and the menus and everything, but he started talking about how to run his business and the story behind the business. So he was even getting more customers just by showing behind the scenes and introducing people to the chefs and the menu and how they come up with the menu, and photos and video of what goes on behind the scene and how it's all put together. And that's when you become a bit of a rock star in your industry. And that's when people engage with something far more than just the product that you output. They actually become invested in you, the person. And that's a far more powerful marketing message. And if you're gun shy about just promoting yourself, like you might have a team of designers working with you, or a team of salespeople if you've got a product. So you actually, bring them into the marketing as well. It doesn't just have to all be about you, the business owner. But what I'm saying is, it's that human to human connection that you can create with the people in your business that are customer facing. If you can get them in front of people, and you can get people to really buy into your whole message, then they will hang out on your website and they will go through everything. And I find that because I subscribe to my own theory, I find when I meet people, when they pick up the phone and they've been either referred to me, or they found me online, Google search, or they've checked out a podcast that I've done, or they've watched a video or something, or see me from the webinar and we get chatting. Then they pick up the phone and chat. Because they've watched my videos, they've read my blog posts, they've read about my About Us, they've seen pictures of my family on Facebook or social media. The connection that I have with them is so personal that rarely am I even test quoted. Like it's literally they're ringing up because they just want to, they trust you. They want to do business with you. And that's where you want to get with your marketing, that it feels like you're just giving advice and you're the only person in the race at the end of the day, because everyone else has been cancelled out, because they just didn't even have a connection with everyone else because they're not even marketing personally. So I hope that answers your question, Michael. And look, this is all just from what I find with the way that I market. And obviously connection is one of my highest values. So for somebody, if one of your highest values isn't connection, then maybe this isn't resonating with you at all. And look, that's totally cool. Like, this isn't for everybody, but for the people that this is for, it works incredibly well for. Like my example of Steve. So he sings my praises until the cows come home, you know, about just how effective it was for his business and what it really means to him. So Mark, just reading back to the comments, I'm getting very few hits aside from hackers and pests. Yeah, look, I'm not sure what a pest is. Maybe they're just like, who knows what they are. But I'd have to look at your website to really be able to give a meaningful kind of comment about that. But it's really about, what have you got on your website that even gets people engaged to come and check you out? Because we think that, you know, showing all of our work and only that is the most important thing ever. But I can tell you that when I've gone and looked at 3 or 4 different landscape designers' websites and all I'm seeing is all their work, yes, I'm impressed. And this goes for builders. This goes for, I've got a pool company at the moment that we're working with, you know, many builders that I've done a lot of jobs for, plumbers, all sorts of different people in, you know, the construction and trade-based businesses. After a while, it all starts to just look the same. And so you're looking for a point of difference. And I guarantee you, people are looking for who they can trust. And I've got a stat that comes up later on in this presentation, but 76% of sales decisions are made via trust. 95% are made via emotional connection. So if you can't do that just by showing pictures of your work, there has to be something more human to human. It's a basic need, this connection that we have with other humans. And if we're not connecting in that way, human to human, we're missing an incredible opportunity to stand out. So I find, and this happens in my industry too, you know, in design and websites, everyone does pretty decent work. It's finding the person that actually understands you and finding the person that you believe in and trust and that you can have a good rapport with, and you know that just gets you, particularly something as personal as landscape gardening, particularly if you're working in someone's home. It's really incredibly important that they feel trust. So I'm going to read some more of the messages. My website, business get growing, is myself, nephew, and his brother-in-law. Potential for family business story from what you say about people story on website. Good tip. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, when it's a family business, people eat that stuff up. They love that. You know, be as relevant as possible. If you've got a charity that you support, if, you know, people have got really interesting stories. You know, if there's something really interesting that you're doing that nobody else is really doing, something that you're really passionate about. I know there's a lady, she's a physio, that she's got 3 different physios offices in Sydney, and she's really passionate. She goes out on those car rallies. So a lot of what she talks about in her marketing is around car rallies, and a lot of people find that incredibly interesting, incredibly relevant to them, because it's human to human. Like, I have a lot of clients in the camping industry, so I will show a lot of images of me camping with my families, my 3 boys and my late husband. We used to camp a lot together. So we showed a lot of those images. You know, people love that. And when you go to an event or they meet you finally, you find they actually ask you about your family. They ask you about your dog. They ask you about things that are relevant. That is something they connected with you online that you didn't even realize that they did. And you wait till you go somewhere and somebody actually recognizes you and stops you in the street. That's a mind blow and a half. But it happens, you know. This is the potential when you exercise connection marketing in your marketing, of how you can actually stand out. And this is how people win big contracts, like Steve did, my client. This is how people win the trust of, you know, family people. You know, it's about connecting human to human. Sharon has just commented to Timo. So that's really cool, especially if your audience is local community. There's a big appetite for hyper local in current times. Yeah. I really love that you brought that up, Sharon. It's incredibly important that we acknowledge and recognize that people really want to buy local if that's relevant to what you're doing. Please don't make your message all about buy local, because that's not enough. But if that is something that you have got up your sleeve, then use that, really, really utilize that. Or if your products are Australian made, utilize that and talk about the stories, like if maybe you're a plant supplier and you're supplying plants all around the country, talk about that, tell the stories about it, show pictures of behind the scenes of your organization and what you're doing, because people really, really do care. And particularly now that we're all online and people, this whole pandemic thing has brought people back to grassroots a lot, and people are really, they want to know the story behind it. We're really questioning the way we do everything. People have binge watched enough Netflix to last a lifetime. And I know that in the first few weeks of the pandemic, I don't know now, but I'm pretty sure it'll be the same, video views went up by 60% on top of what they already were. And video already accounts for 80% of the internet. So that's a huge amount of content that people are watching, So I'll be talking about that in the connection part of this talk, is that video is massive and you really need to be investing your time and your energy and your expertise, and if you have any budget for it, investing into that, because that is a massive way to connect with your audience. Peter has asked me, do you think doing YouTube on yourself a good idea? Yes. So I've just answered that question. So YouTube as in being a video, or like creating video and having your own private YouTube channel? Yeah, 100%. My company name isn't my name, but people think it's my name. Okay, yeah, definitely do video, and I'll talk about that coming up. The desire to share your passion, yes. Mark just, when he talked about having pests on his website, that was interesting. Let's just see. So videos on a website or social media about your company and staff, etc., is much more human-to-human form of communication. Absolutely. Yeah, it really is. Sorry, I'm just muting people as they come in. I'm multitasking. Yeah, it really is. So I talked about the caravan and camping industry before, that I service a lot of the people in that. So I'll talk a really quick story. And I know this industry really, really, really well. I had a client come to me. They had one big showroom in Brisbane. They were just expanding into Sydney, big camper trailer, a small camper trailer company. They actually employed my late husband, who was a major player in that industry because he'd been in the company before him. They'd invested a lot into creating a whole lot of video content around him, and he came in as a personality into that industry. He was a sales rep, so he wasn't an owner. And with the owner of that new company and him as the sales rep with his big personality, his social media profile and his video profile, and just being a bit of an industry icon in through doing all the videos and amplifying them out to different platforms, they grew to being 11. Now they have 11 showrooms all around the country. They've got something like 360,000 odd people on Facebook. They sell 27,000 units of caravans and camper trailers a year. And this has been happening this happened over 10 years. And this all happened when I first met the owner of that company. He actually said, he sat in my lounge room and he said, I don't believe in branding. And so I had to give him this conversation 10 years ago about, what branding was all about. And this is kind of like actually where connection marketing began with me. When I started really analyzing this for them, I'm just going, look at what's happening, they started making their sales team the heroes and investing a lot into doing research and development trips with their sales teams out and about testing the camper trailers and the caravans and expanding their business that way. So that's a huge part of their growth. So yes, they invested money into that. It wasn't just done all organically, but it was all done. The point of the story is saying to you, it was all done through people and humans, and not just like getting in famous people, which is what a lot of big companies do, just using their normal everyday sales team to become the superstars of their brand. I think it's so important that that's what you get from that story, is these guys weren't fancy. They weren't, gorgeous looking people. They're just normal. And then they would go along every week or month to the different shows and expos that they ran. They'd be signing autographs with people because people had seen the DVDs that they'd made on their research and development trips. So that's a really high-end example of what you can do, but there's nothing stopping you from, if you've got a character that works for you, or if you're a bit of a character, creating a weekly vlog or a video around yourself and what you're up to, and showing behind the scenes and walking and talking people through gardens, if that's what it is that you're doing, and really showing people what it is that you do, and showing behind the scenes and creating a personality around what you do. Now, it's very important that you do this as naturally as possible. So for some people, this just sounds like hell and you're never going to do it. But I share this information with you because if you can find a way to do that, if you've got somebody engaged, somebody involved in your business that you can utilize this to do this kind of connection marketing with, it's going to be a really successful way for you to grow your business. So for me, you know, I do this through giving information. So I do this through creating webinars. I blog regularly. I have a podcast. I interview a lot of, you know, well-known people on that podcast as well. I have my own online course. So, you know, and I don't have that big, larger than life personality either, you know. So I just do things, the way I do it is by through connecting and giving and sharing and hoping that that appeals to people, which it does, you know. People really like my more nurturing kind of style. So you have to be authentic and go with your own style. It's very important you don't try to be something that you're not. So let's keep moving ahead. And thank you so much, guys, for asking those questions. If you have any more questions, keep asking them because I'll keep answering them. And I think it's really relevant, you know, to everybody on the call if you guys ask that because you're all from the same industry. So the key to surviving is to remain relevant. So it's so important that you serve your customer, you help them and then show them that you care, particularly right now. And somebody brought that up actually in the comments, I think it was Sharon. People really are very sensitive right now and they just want to know that you actually give a shit about them. You know, a lot of people have gone through some really tough times and are going through some tough times. We are not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. So the way that we handle our customers is going to be very different to how we might have handled them a few months ago. So I think coming from a more nurturing place and a more heartfelt place and showing that you actually care is really a way to differentiate yourself from other people who are just going about it business as usual, because people are not people as usual. So it's really important that you find ways to connect with your audience that they're going to find really of high value and they're going to really be grateful to you. And so basically the deeper the relationship that you create, the more brand loyalty you're going to get long term. And this whole thing, we are really in this together. You know, I would be really branding a lot of my, or really putting the brand messaging around that in a lot of my marketing, not using that in your tagline, but that kind of a thing. You know, it's really, really important that you let people see that you're all in this together, literally. Sharon's just got a question. Is it appropriate on this forum to recommend a small independent media production company who can create these video productions? Well, yeah, it is appropriate. I can help you. Look, you know, I don't know what area you're in. I can have a chat to you later, Sharon, if you like. My agency does do that. I'm sure there's plenty of other good agencies that do it too. But, you know, I'd be stupid to not give myself a plug right now. That's exactly what my partner and I do with my Heretic Creative Agency. That's what we do. So I don't want to make this all about plugging myself. It depends what area that you're in and budget as well. So I'm happy to have a chat with you offline, Sharon, if you want to, you know, just so we don't sort of like bore everybody with giving myself a free plug. So it's really important that your marketing is all about building connection, shifting perspectives. I want to talk about this really quickly. This is so important. And brand your unique offer. Brand your unique offer, yeah. You want to, everybody has an objection to doing something to do with what it is that you're offering, particularly if it's a high value thing. And most people, landscape gardening or landscape designing or, you know, the horticulture or that, giving that kind of expertise or experience, you know, people, the budget runs out. So they're always going to have some kind of objection. So it's really, you need to really understand what the objections are that your audience has and not guess what they are, but you really need to know what they are. So whether you run a survey with your audience or you just ring up your best clients and you conduct a bit of an interview and ask them, heartfelt, why did you choose me? What is it that is the biggest objection in my industry? And so then you can understand how to overcome it, because the way I try and visualize it with people is that people have objections all the time, or self-limiting doubt, so they don't believe they can do it, whatever it is, you know, or they don't think they deserve it. There's a million reasons why people don't want to have something, you know, they don't think that they can afford you. There's so many things. So this is like, imagine this in this circle here. And so these are like the limiting beliefs, the objections. So you're over here and you know that you got the clients in pain and you know that you got the solution over here. So you've got to get them through their self-limiting beliefs and around that and over to here with actually where they believe that what you offer them is relevant to them. So it's so important that you actually understand what the objections are. And that's another part of connecting. So when you actually have this kind of a personal relationship with your clients and your audience, you can actually ask them these questions and they'll give you the answers. But you can only get the answers when you have this kind of connection with them. And people will probably think, I didn't even know that was marketing, but it is marketing. It's having that emotional intelligence around where your audience is sitting is such an important way for you to be actually answering their needs and giving them exactly what they want, what they need, not guessing. So like, we all think that, that was one of the points that one of the guys had on here before, is that, oh, won't they just go to the gallery page and look at my work? Well, not necessarily. If their biggest issue around actually dealing with you is that they have somebody in their house with special needs, and will you be sensitive to that? Or it could be something around a budget, or something around climate. It could be something around an environmental issue. There's so many things that people have running around in their heads, and it's our job as marketers, and that's actually what your job is as the leader of your business. You're a marketer. That's your job to understand what these objections are. So it's really important that you do that. So anyway, God, I'm going so slowly through this, so I'll try and rip through these a little bit quicker. Mark, thank you. I have an audience that's rapidly going broke and object change. Yeah, I don't know much about obviously who your exact audience is, but this is, so reinvention, we're right up to the most important part for you there, Mark, is you really need to understand what it is that their objections are and how you can work around them. And you might need to pivot your services, the way you deliver it them, whatever that, I'm not 100% sure what you do, Mark. You can share that if you like. But so the basic ones are online consultation. That's the most basic and obvious one. Remote working, e-commerce versus retail, maybe that's how you need to. I know a lot of people, and I'm actually working with a landscape gardener right now. He's putting together an online course because he recognizes that this is a horticultural agronomy, which I don't even know what that is. I'm going to be really honest. That sounds like a real specialist thing, real specialist service. So I guess we can have a chat offline. You can explain it to me better. I'm really happy to brainstorm with you if you like, Mark, rather than me trying to even guess what that is. So there's all sorts of ways that you can get horticultural agronomy, soils, pests, disease. Yeah, wow. I'd have to understand who your audience is and what their pain is. So that would be like a 5 or 10 minute conversation before I can answer that with any real integrity. So I don't even want to pretend that I can answer that honestly, but it might be, this could be suiting you, like this whole reinvention where perhaps people can't afford your services any more one-to-one, if that's how you normally do it. Maybe there's a way you can package up your services where it's a bit more one-to-many. And that's what a lot of people are doing right now in the reinvention phase, is that they're creating membership sites, they're creating online courses, they're providing products that are cost effective and getting out to a much wider audience and delivering their services online, or the expertise online. If you're in the consulting space, Mark, maybe there's a way that you can do it in a way that you can package it up and sell it for cheaper, but sell it to more people so that you're actually benefiting better for it. But if it is a one-to-one service still, then I guess you have to figure out the objections and how to get around the objections. It depends how you deliver that service. But reinventing really is an opportunity. So even like I used the example of Steve Sid, he is a restaurant owner, but he's more than that. He's also a consultant. He can give a lot of people advice on how to run their cafes and their restaurants a lot better with their processes and their marketing, their social media. So he's actually now operating in that consulting space. And the next thing that he'll be doing is creating an online course as well. So what I'm trying to get across is it's really important in this reinvention phase that you need to be looking at all the different ways that you can create an income, not just physically one-to-one, but in the online space, in whatever forum you can that makes sense for you. Or maybe it is you become you have a product that you sell as well, you in a retail space, or you get more into the e-commerce side of things, or you might, you might be a TAFE teacher. I mean, there's a million ways you can be getting back and having extra income streams to your business, but not just in this time, but into the future. And I see you've just marked, so you're nearly looking at becoming a gardener again. Yeah. And, maybe even for a period of time, I'm not 100% sure, like I said, on what exactly is that you do. Maybe that is the pivot, is that you have to go back into being a landscape gardener again for a period of time while you work out exactly how you're going to get the horticultural agronomy to work for you. But being flexible, I'll use myself as an example. So I started out 25 years ago as a graphic designer, came out of uni. I was one of the very lucky ones. I'd learned on computers. A whole lot of graphic designers that refused to learn how to do our industry on computers went out of business straight away. They were didn't exist within 5 years. And then after that, websites came on. So, I had to upskill, had to learn how to create websites, had to learn all about websites in the online world. Then social media marketing came in, then video came in, and now this, we're continually, online courses. Like I've got my own online course now, running these webinars. The way that we used to do it isn't the way that we do it moving into the future. So every industry has to look at a way to reinvent. One thing I want to share with you, actually, I've got down here video walkthroughs, live streaming 360-degree videos. If you've got a nursery and you find people can't get to you, or they're hesitant to come to you because of these, they're scared of catching this disease. If we get the second wave that a lot of people are convinced is coming, maybe there's ways that you can do video walkthroughs your nursery, or even around the work that you do. Or you can be live streaming. You can be doing education shows for free online, or webinars like this every week. And there's no reason why that won't continue on into the future, because people love the convenience of not having to get in their car. I'm from Sydney. Getting in your car and going anywhere absolutely sucks. Let me be quite frank about that. So I've been doing online yoga classes and loving it. I am not going to step foot in another yoga gym in my entire life, because I like to do it at home now. It's convenient. So look at ways that you can remodel and do things. And it might feel a little inconvenient now because it's changed, but it could be changed for the better, because what we want at the end of this is for your business to be better. Going forward, moving forward, that you have an online stream to your business, that you might be able to be selling a product, that you haven't, maybe you have education that you can be selling, and collaborating and having partners is also another thing. Who is in your industry here right now that you can be partnering with and reaching far more people? Or, maybe there's somebody in here that's a supplier of yours that you can be on selling your products. You could have a really large audience and you're not actually utilizing them to the best of your advantage. So only you know what you can be doing and what you can be doing really well. And reinvention is what it's all about right now. But look at it as an opportunity and not a challenge. So even you, Mark, you're probably looking at it having to go back and being a gardener again as being an absolute bloody challenge. But maybe you can merge the two things of what you do with your horticultural agronomy with the gardener, and be the only person out there who actually does that. Forgive my ignorance if that's impossible, but there could be ways around it. And I will have a chat with you, with your permission, if you like, afterwards, to try and help you, because I love to do that. I really do love to think sideways and laterally. And so I want to just share this quick example with you of the real estate industry. So that was severely challenged a couple of months ago. So, and this is James, the videographer in the middle there in the black with the headphones on. He's our videographer. So he, large part of his business in video is shooting video. So, and there was, when this all first came in, we didn't know if we were even going to be able to get out and shoot video. It was a massive challenge for us, that part of our business. So on one weekend, when it was all announced that there were no more auctions, no more people could go through and do live events, it would be, these guys, instead of panicking and freaking out like all the other real estate agents I know, these guys were really innovative, and they said, right, that's it, all of our properties, let's get a 360-degree camera, which is a much more innovative way of shooting something, where it's like you're actually standing in the middle of the room, and it's kind of like choose your own adventure. You can, like, with your finger, you can scroll and look and turn the screen and see into every nook and cranny. And they did every property they had on the market. They did a 360-degree video that weekend for it, and then got them up online, and were able to still keep selling, because even though they weren't as beautiful as the normal beautiful videos that we create for them, they were incredibly informative videos where you could see everything, and the person purchasing felt more empowered. So they were able to sell that way. So I just wanted to use that as a real life example of pivoting. And so what the beautiful thing is, these guys are still continuing now to use the 360-degree video, because they realize now they can sell their properties, which is in an affordable area of Sydney, to investors all around the country. So they've found that their way of pivoting and meeting a challenge is actually something they'll continue to do moving into the future. And that's another new income stream for us now, is this 360-degree videos, because we hadn't made any until this, when the client came to us and asked, what the hell are we going to do? So I just wanted to share this, because it's all about, when you have a reinvention mindset, it's amazing what ideas you can have. And I'll actually give you guys a copy of these slides. I've got your email addresses, so I'll send them to you tomorrow. But this is something I'd love you guys to look at, this assessment sheet, which is, I want you to look at your industry. So we all know that's, you know, landscaping of some type. So look at how things have changed and write down in this, well, how things changed for you right now. And Mark was really kind to share that his industry, you know, has really tightened up its belt. And it's really nice to see actually somebody here's given you a rap and said that you're great specialist knowledge and insights. Yeah, so basically you can position yourself as a very different kind of landscape gardener to the norm, you know, and that can be moving forward. It could be a whole new income stream that you'd never considered, and you could even be employing people to do that for you into the future, you know, and it's something that you might not have done had you not been pushed into that area. So the more you view it as an opportunity, the better off you'll be. Forgive me, I'm just having a quick drink of tea because I'm talking for 45 minutes straight. It takes its toll. So look at how your clients' needs have changed. So you look at firstly how things have changed in your industry. How's your clients' needs changed? What kind of pain are they in and how deeply are they feeling it? Then look at how you can respond and look at ways to innovate. You know, what can you do that helps your client? Not helps you, but actually helps your client. Because if you come from that perspective, you're going to have a lot more engagement and interaction and a lot more brand loyalty. Look at if your innovation is actually unique. Because if it is unique, you may even find then that you've created a whole new niche for you in your industry, like James with the 360-degree cameras. Like, there's not a lot of people doing that. And so now we're kind of like capitalizing on that right now while, you know, making hay while the sun shines and offering that service to a whole lot of other different industries that are jumping on it. So, and then look at how can this benefit and change the industry long term, you know, and this is the whole thing about being a game changer. So, you know, I really greatly encourage you to do this exercise yourself with your own business and see what more you can get. This is all part of the reinvention. So, you know, I know you thought you were coming to a marketing webinar tonight, but reinvention is the first part of this because then we market it. So connection, I will skip through this pretty quickly because I've talked a lot about connection already. So it's very important that you build your social media strategy. I've talked about the power of video and I'll touch on that a little bit more in a second. Doing the online meetings and consults, obviously. And let me tell you, I love online meetings and consults now. The time I'm saving, not driving across Sydney and being able to do a Zoom call with a client, that is going to stay in my business, let me tell you. You could be getting into podcasting, you know, with like specialist expertise. And, you know, maybe that's something that this industry association can even put together as their own podcast and have a lot of you guys as members come on and be featured in that. You know, there's such an opportunity there and that goes worldwide, you know. Understanding that your website is your online hub for all of your activities. We talked a lot about making it personal and human with the connection. Repurposing your content. I'll show you a really cool infographic on that in a minute. And most importantly, just being consistent. And I really want to point out to you, don't forget the gold that is already there in your existing database and your existing customer base, because it costs 7 times more to acquire a new customer. So right now, if you're finding that things are quiet for you and your audience is not drying up, but they've gone cold on you, maybe it's just the service that you're trying to sell to them. So the quicker you find out what they need from you and the quicker you know that understand how you can pivot and give them what they need, you might find, like just like with us with the 360-degree cameras, like James made a killing that week when we were doing that for that client. Had he not come out with that innovation, he probably wouldn't have done any work that week at all. So the more clever you are with your existing clients, the quicker you can be at just getting more income into your business. So this is what, and I'll send this to you. This is a really good example of your website is at the center of all of what you do with your marketing. A lot of people get a bit confused. They think if they funnel a lot of the activities into Instagram or Facebook, that's kind of good enough, but it's not. Your website is where it all sits and it all marries back into your website because that's where you can control where people kind of like get the experience of you and they can see all your videos, they can read about you, they can see the testimonials, they can check out your packages, they can, see what it is like people that maybe you support, industries that are supporting you, referral programs, strategic alliances. They can sign up to your e-newsletter. There's so many things that you can do with your website. It's incredibly important that this is not a time, this is actually a great time. I've been renovating a lot of people's websites right now, but this really is an important time for you to make sure that your website is up to scratch and that you are building a lot of this personal connection that we talked about into your website, and not just doing it on your social media, but understanding that their hub is at the center of everything that you do, because you can get shut down tomorrow with any one of your social media platforms. That it can just be closed down. You can be hacked. Anything can happen, and it's gone. Whereas with your website, you have backups of your website. It's always there. It's always, you own it. It's yours. It's your property. So it's incredibly important that it's the focus of all of your online activities. And we've talked about this already, so I'll skip through this. This is Gary Vee. He's a really well-known person in the marketing world, online marketing. Maybe some of you already follow him. It's incredibly important that we don't just come at our marketing as selling, and I've talked a lot about that. I hope you've gotten the point of that, is give value, give value, give value, give value, and then you ask for the business. Don't ask for the business until well after you've established that reputation, the trust, you built the trust. They've come to know, like, and trust you. They believe in you. They really feel you. They're on the same page as you. And then they'll ask you for the sale. But, you know, then you can at least then talk about, hey, I've got a webinar coming up. Or, hey, I've got this special package out, this promotion, I've got this online course. You know, whatever it is that you've got, you can talk about it once you've developed that relationship. And we've talked about getting personal in your marketing. So 71% better response if you get personal with what you're doing, because it triggers an emotional response. And so here are some of the ideas on how you can get personal. I've talked about this loosely already, but definitely sharing behind the scenes of everything that you do is incredibly important. And you can see the photos that I've put up on the left. These are photos that I've used from my own personal marketing, about when we've been out on video shoots with the guys in the top corner, like industry icons in that camping world. And then this is my own family when we've gone camping. You know, I use this in my own marketing material, and people love this, you know, and they can name my dogs by name and they know who the kids are. And then myself, I was at the Big Red Bash at concert, you know, and so it's all part of, people really engage with this and they like you and they really respond to this. And this is where loyalty is bred. Now, Mark's put up a comment. Facebook business equates compost tea with hand sanitizer and cannot be contacted to fix that. Great example of revocable instant shutdown. Ooh, okay. All right. Maybe I should have a chat with you about that, Mark. I'm not even really sure what you mean with that. Okay, I think, all right, we'll have a chat, Mark, because I'm not really sure. And I'm conscious of the time, that we're up to the 1 hour time now. And I'm nowhere near finished my webinar, of course. So I'm going to try and get through it to the key points for you guys and then share these slides with you. And then actually, as part of, if anybody does have to go, part of coming to the webinar tonight is you can actually have book in a half an hour free consult with me if you want to talk about yourselves personally, about how we can do connection marketing for your business. And that's free. There's no cost to that. I don't want to, you to think that this is just all about, trying to squeeze dollars out of you. I'm just really connected to, I believe that if you sort of see the value, then you will want to do business later on. But happy just to have an absolutely free consultation with you guys for half an hour if somebody does have to leave now. But I will press on and just go through the most pertinent points. If you have got like an extra 15 minutes, I'll do that with you. So I think I've covered that off about the personal side. You can really understand that, why that's important and why this is important. I love statistics. So engaged customers, because this is what it's all about. The connection is about creating engaged customers. So an engaged customer will buy 90% more frequently from a brand that they're engaged with. They'll spend 60% more dollars per transaction with you because they just want to deal with you. They will pay for that service. And they're 5 times more likely the only brand that they'll purchase from in the future and also refer to. So that's why we want to keep people engaged, and not just like while you're trying to get them as a customer. You want to keep them engaged afterwards, because some of my best referral partners are actually people that I did business with years ago, and we don't really have much need to do business now together, but they still enjoy what I do, and they still promote me and talk to me and refer me, and that's what you want. You want lifelong friends, business friends from your customers, and it's something you need to nurture. You don't just get that from putting up the odd special deal or the odd email or the odd LinkedIn post. It's something that you nurture every day, every week, and it's worth it when you've got this beautiful connection, this beautiful cycle of people referring you constantly and dealing with you constantly and finding opportunities for you. And this is what the benefits are of maintaining a relationship, is because they become awesome referral partners. They become raving fans and brand advocates. They give you better feedback so you can find out, well, what's challenging them right now. They'll tell you. Customer loyalty, repeat business. They create business opportunities. That's exactly what happened to Steve when he got Steve Sid, the hospitality entrepreneur, when he, you know, got back in front of the people that he'd missed out on that large tender with. They came back to him and he got the business opportunity of his life within 3 months of rebranding. And what he did, though, it wasn't just the rebrand. It was he was actively working it hard on social media and bringing people back to his website and creating video content and positioning yourself as an industry leader. I can't tell you the importance of doing that. And everyday normal people can do that. And I've proven it, and Steve proven it. And many of my clients are proving it, and other people that you can probably think of. You might, if you think of as most successful brands that you're with, the people are positioning themselves as industry leaders. This is how you create connection online. And I'll actually just, rather than talk about this now, I'll send this to you, but you can, so it's a couple of pages. You can see like things like testimonials, celebrity endorsements or famous people in the industry, strategic alliances, joint ventures, collaborating maybe with other people even in this group in the industry. That's the whole point of these associations. Sharing your trusted industry logos, being published, your own blogs, putting together, even getting a chapter in a book or writing your own book or your own podcast, creating an online course, your own manuals, ebooks, your own app, even having infographics of success, definitely video content, 100 million % video content, having your share buttons to your social media. So you've got that visual proof all the time of what you're doing. Having a private Facebook group, that's an incredible way of how to build up a really solid trust online. Having pictures of your work premises or people that you work with, of a factory, you know, whatever it is that you're doing. Running your own webinars, you know, really showing people your expertise, giving them a taste of what it is that you do. Email marketing, I'm a big fan of. Having VIP programs. That we have a travel agent client who a lot of their business and repeat referrals come from their VIP people. So we've come up with a program where they get special deals and special treatment and have, you know, special prices. And so have their own VIP section. And just something simple as remembering people's birthdays can be a great way to create a connection online. Something so simple, but people are touched in this day and age where people thrive on good customer service because it's missing most of the time. I already talked about this. 76% of sales are based on reputation and trust. And this is our job. It's to connect, you know. I think people think your job is, you guys probably thought before you came on this, your job was as a landscape gardener or a landscape designer or you know, in the landscape industry. But your job actually is as a marketing manager of your business and to connect with the audience. And if you can leave them feeling better than the way they were, than the way they first come in contact with you, well, then you've got, this is where brand loyalty is created and built. And I think I'll just talk about a little bit about video and then I'll probably wrap up for tonight because it'll go too long. But I think I said before, 80% of the content online is now video. And these are some really important stats that you need to understand. So website visitors are 64% more likely to buy a product from an e-commerce site after watching a video. And your website is 50 times more likely to appear on the first page of a search engine results if it includes video. And that's because Google loves YouTube. If you've got your video housed up on YouTube, it's the second largest search engine in the world and it's an authority website. So that alone with organic SEO, if it's pointing back to your website, greatly enhances your Google ability. And this is probably the most important stat that I think is that when watching a video, viewers retain 95% of the video's message compared to only 10% when they read it as text. It's incredibly important that you understand just why video is so important for you guys to be resonating with your audience and to build that relationship, and that you not only have it on your social media channels, but you also have it housed on your website. It's one of the best ways for people to build a relationship with you. So when they actually eventually pick up the phone and make contact with you, that they feel like they know you, they trust you, they understand who you are, they get you, they got your vibe, and that they're really just ringing up to book the appointment for you to come down. And unless you completely botch it, they're your client. So the success rate of video, and what blows me away though is how nervous people are about creating video. Which leads me probably to my next point. So I'll talk to you quickly about this, which is content repurposing, only because I wanted to make sure this is all about amplifying your message. And that's the third part of this webinar, is that this is a really great strategy. So people say, God, this chick, you know, you might be understanding what I'm talking about. It all sounds great. But I'm sure some of you are thinking, you know, how the hell am I going to do this? So this is not to be done all by yourself. You do need to have an assistant of some type, like a marketing intern, which you can get from a university, or, you know, it could be somebody that's left the workforce and is now just wants to come back into the workforce in a part-time capacity. They could help you out one day a week. So basically, here is a really great content repurposing strategy that I'm sharing with you, is that you create the video, which is what I was talking about before. So you could create on your topic, you know, so Mark is the doyen of, what do you do, Mark? Horticultural agronomy. So, you know, you could do some sort of video all around that, some incredible half an hour conversation piece, you know, really informative, very specific, really succinct, and create some sort of video, you know, however long it is, explaining it all, and it goes up on your, you know, onto your social media, but it would go on your YouTube channel, then onto your social media, and then on your website, maybe just on your website. And then what you do is you get your assistant, who is not paid a great deal of money because they're just like a marketing intern, they're a college, university student, and they are supporting you. So they, from that, would create some kind of blog post from the content that they would derive from the video. They could also create smaller videos from the bigger video. And from that, that information can go out. It can be given to guest articles or be put up in magazines or different types of online websites or platforms where they might be looking for your kind of content. And I know there's a whole lot of web information sites and publications you could go to in this industry. And then it could be a LinkedIn article. It goes out in a newsletter to your database. Then you could splice that up into different images and graphics with little pull-out points and statistics that you would have shared into all your different, like, Facebook posts, Instagram or Twitter, or into your stories, or into LinkedIn, if that's what you're doing. If it's really relevant, you could be creating some kind of ebook or an infographic. And it could be stripped down into a podcast as well. You just strip the audio out and it becomes a podcast. And all of those pieces of content can be built up over the week for, you know, can be distributed all month, really, from that one long form video that you created. So I know it's challenging for people when it comes to, you know, when I say to you the best way to amplify your message is to get it out there is through content, but it's incredibly important that you do, because that's what people are after, and that is how you differentiate yourself from everybody else, because we're all experts of what we do. So for me, I've created this platform, Connection Marketing. This is my baby. It's what I talk about till the cows come home. As you can see, I've gone over time on this webinar. I can talk about this forever. There's another 3 or 4 or 5 webinars I could do this long on this topic. And you're the same with what you do. You just need to tap into it. You need to understand what your target audience is missing in their life. And then you need to create the content around that to satisfy that need, so they get a taste test of you. And then when the time is right, they become a client of yours because they're so invested with you, and with the content that you provide them, you change their lives. You've given them something which really helps them, is useful to them, that they remember you for that. They'll be indebted to you for that. And I don't know what the life cycle of one of your clients is, but for me, it can be years. Like, I'm talking to somebody that has been in my buying cycle for the past 10 years. Like that's long. Most people, it's not that long, thank God. Otherwise I'd go broke. But the point is, he's just another person on my database that still engages with me and is going to buy after all this time, if the time is finally right. For some people, it can be 10 minutes. You know, they might engage with you for 10 minutes and that's it. They're going to buy from you. So you just, you know, you're in this for the long game, and you will pick up customers in the short term. You pick up them up in the middle and at the end. So this is how to build a business long term, so that, you know, in this whole COVID experience, like, really, I had a period of a few weeks where it was quiet, and I respected that my clients were still very much in shock and needed to focus on their businesses and just do what they needed to do. I had the leftover work to do, and now coming into this period of time, I'm as busy as all hell. And it's because during that time, this COVID time, while people have been online, I've been marketing like crazy. And when I say marketing, I've been give before I ask for anything. And this webinar is an example, you know, just giving tons of information, giving tons of meaningful, hopefully really useful information that you guys can take away and exercise and do stuff and get real life positive results from. So then you can, thank you very much, Peter. That's a nice comment. So then you can, you know, take this away and then we'll build some sort of kind of relationship. And the way this works, this relationship, is that I will take, you know, I'll be really transparent. Like, I have your email addresses. With your permission, I put you into my newsletter database. You receive an email from me, You can unsubscribe if you want. If you don't want to hear from me, that's totally cool. Or you sort of like stay in my cycle now, and then you get to keep getting information from me. And it's how the relationship works. And this is what marketing is all about. And this is what I want you guys to do. That's why I'm being really transparent. Like, it's not a mystery. So I want you guys to do exactly the same thing. It's how you build a database. It's how you build long-term relationships, trust online, and that you have a steady stream of customers coming to you. So when we do get caught out in this lockdown stuff, you know, people and only online, the only way you can sort of get new customers is by being online. You can't do it face to face. That you're not in a panic. You're okay. That it just keeps going on and on. So thank you. I'm getting some nice comments. It's really cool. So I just want to show you this really quickly because no one's really left, which is really cool. I hope you don't mind. I know we're going over time. I'll wrap up really quickly. Amplifying the message. This is the third and last point. We'll rip through this incredibly fast. You have to become an epic storyteller. So it's all about, if you've noticed tonight, I think I've told you about 3 or 4 different individual stories. It's because stories imprint in the mind of your customer. So the more stories you can tell in your marketing, the better, because people, you've probably forgotten all the stats I've just given you, but you'll remember the stories I gave you. And that's the most important thing. So you can come back and get those stats anytime, but it's the stories that I want you to remember, and that's what you should be using in your marketing. Look at who you can do strategic alliances. Look at who you can collaborate with. Build your database. Look at methods that I showed you before with the online marketing, how to get more people into your database. I haven't talked about a unique lead magnet and online sales funnel. In 2 weeks, I'll be doing another webinar. I'd love to see you guys on that, because I will talk a lot about lead magnets and sales funnels, which sounds really complex and difficult, but it's not. It can be, the lead magnet can be as easy as a webinar, and then getting them down into the sales funnel. So I'll just talk about that in greater detail, and how to get your loyal clients to become your brand advocates. So amplifying the message basically means not going it alone. It just means getting out to as many people as possible that you can. So the homework I want you guys to do, if you're really diligent, is to do that Reinvent assessment that I had in the first part of this, and look at other ways that you can pivot your business and maybe bring in some more income streams. Look at how you can create connection online and get a really solid strategy in place and a good online sales funnel, and how you can repurpose all your content. And then I want you to triple your current communication with your database. Now, don't freak out, but I want you to triple your current communication on what you're doing, because I can guarantee you're not doing enough. You should be posting daily on your social media, maybe just 1 or 2 platforms. It's all it needs to be. And you need to be getting out a newsletter at least once a month, maybe once a fortnight. And, look at ways that you can collaborate and get into front of other people's databases. So 80% of your time, if your revenue is under $1 million, which, most small business owners it is, you should be spending 80% of your time on sales and marketing. You should be having people in your business that help you perform your services. So for me, I have designers, I have videographers, and I have web developers. I'm still there at the coalface, like as a creative director, an art director, and still involved in the intrinsic parts of the design. But a lot of my time is spent in sales and marketing, as should be yours as the business owner, if your goal is to be growing. For some people, it's not. So you would just scale your commitment with your sales and marketing comparatively, just depending on that. So that's my special offer is if you like what you've seen tonight and it's of great interest to you, I am offering free of charge a 30-minute consult with me. I will send you guys an email tomorrow, so you can just respond to that and say, yep, you want to do a 30-minute consult. I also have an online course, which you guys are most welcome to check out. You can see the domain down the bottom, Connection Marketing, connectionmarketing.online. It's running right now. It goes for 8 weeks. We're up to week 3 at the moment, but it doesn't really matter because you can just jump in at any point in time. It's a really, really excellent course, and it talks a lot about this, and you can drive it yourself. It is, I won't talk you through too much of that. It's all about basically, you can learn your marketing strategy, your action plan, social media strategy, online sales funnel. You can learn all about that, learn more about your content creation, how to write blogs that people actually want to read, how to create a video, set up a podcast, do your social media better, how to be more accountable, how to measure everything that you're doing. And really, I talk a lot about strategic alliances and joint ventures, because that's a really incredible way to grow your business. Got a lifetime guarantee, a lifetime access and a money back guarantee if you don't like it. And I've also got some mini courses within it, which is cool, which is all for the same price, where I found that where people are really tripping up in marketing, I reckon some of you guys might be a bit intimidated by this too, is when it comes to creating video, is that people freak out when they get in front of a video. So I'm actually creating, and it'll be online in the next couple of weeks, which will be all part of this course, is how to be comfortable in front of a video, and actually how to write a script, how to sort of like where to be and how to make the damn video, you know, where to position it, what kind of equipment to use, microphone, what kind of, you know, how to make them on your phone, how to edit it, but really how to be comfortable and to be able to present a webinar, present a video, present a course, and just how to be more comfortable in your own skin and more connected to what it is that you do. So you're most welcome to check that out. It's connectionmarketing.online. And it is the special price right now. It's $99 a month for the next 12 months, or $999 a one-off payment for the whole course. So basically, just for the component of what I do, the marketing strategy and the action plan and the social media strategy, I would charge around $4,500 for that. So you get this whole course plus with all of the other stuff, with the connection marketing stuff, for $999 or $99 per month. So check it out if you like. No hard sell from me. Or if you would just prefer, you would actually just like to chat to me first, that's really cool. I'm happy to do a 30-minute consult with you guys. So yeah, that's it. So we can talk. There's a couple of people that had questions that I didn't quite understand, or, you know, just to make it really relevant to what you're doing in your business, particularly if you want to understand how you can pivot, if you want to understand how you can build trust online, how to do connection a lot better. I would really, you know, really be happy to chat with you about that. Well, thank you, Michael. Michael just said, thank you, Melissa, for a very informative webinar from all of us at AIH. Thank you very much, Michael. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, I'm going to leave it there because it's a night time. I'm sure you guys have got better things to be doing right now. I hope I've left you with enough good information for you to do your marketing in a more connected way, a more heartfelt way, and really get out there with your audience and do things better and stand out in your industry and make this industry, you know, even stronger. And if you want to take me up on that offer, I'll send through emails tomorrow, and you're most welcome to get in touch and we'll set it up. So yeah, unless somebody's got a question, you know, I can hang around for the next 5 minutes and answer any questions specifically. You can leave now if you like. I won't be upset. Thank you so much, guys, for staying on 20 minutes over time. I really appreciate that. It's really gold. Everyone stayed, which is so cool. If there's any questions, I'll quickly answer them now. I'm just checking out the chat box now. Just a handful of people saying thank you. You're very welcome. I do have another webinar coming up for you guys in a fortnight, so that'll go out in the newsletter, I think, and it'll be up on the website shortly. So you're most welcome to come to that, because I'll be talking a lot about how to do your social media, how to do, how to get people on with, I'm trying to think, or with the call to action, you know, and like with some sort of giveaway, and how to get them into the funnel. So, and how to do online marketing better. So I'll be talking a lot about that specifically. Thank you, guys. Well, that's cool. Okay, so it doesn't look like there's any more questions. So it's been a hoot, and I will check you guys later. So yeah, hope you all have a good one. Thanks so much. And I've got to just try and figure out now how to get off this. Here we go. All right. Have a good one, guys. So great to chat to you all. And I hope to meet some of you when we do the consults. Fantastic. Thanks all. Bye.